Test. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
The flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Delaquila.
Here.
Director of Law Pignatello.
Here.
Director of Finance Herwick.
Here.
Councilman at Large Elliott.
Here.
Councilwoman at Large Kelly.
Here.
Councilwoman at Large Stager.
Here.
Ward 1 Councilman Biassiata.
Here.
Ward 2 Councilman Robo.
Here.
Ward 3 Councilman Snitsky.
Here.
Ward 4 Councilman Greenwald.
Here.
Director of Public Service and Properties Levis.
Here.
Building Commissioner Vitardi.
Here.
Engineer Collins.
Here. Now I have the reading and disposal of the journal. Having read the council minutes of council meetings, special council meeting held August 23rd, 2016, I find no errors or omissions. Therefore, I move they be approved as printed.
Second.
Call the roll.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Special council meeting held August 23rd, 2016. Minutes have been approved. I'm now moving on to the reading and disposal of the minutes from regular council meeting February 26, 2018.
Mr. President,
Councilman.
having read the council minutes of council meeting February 26, 2018, I find no errors or omissions. Therefore, I move they be approved as printed.
I second.
Roll call?
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Moving on to the consent agenda, March 12, 2018.
Mr. President,
Councilman.
if there is no division of the question, I move that we accept the consent agenda for March 12, 2018.
I second.
Roll call?
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
There are no resolutions of accommodation tonight, so we'll move on to reports of committees. Planning, zoning, and economic development.
Mr. President,
Councilman.
previous meeting minutes are on file with the clerk. Our next meeting is next Monday, 3/19.
Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. President. The last meeting was on March 5th. The next meeting is April 2nd. The minutes of the March 5th meeting are pending.
Hey, thank you, Councilman. Community Services.
Thank you, Council President. Our last meeting was on March 5th. The minutes are on file with the council clerk, and our next meeting will be April 2nd.
Police and Safety.
Mr. President, my last meeting was February 20th. The next meeting's 3/19, and the minutes are on file with the clerk.
Parks and Recreation.
Yes, Mr. President, our next meeting will be next Monday, March 19th.
Rules, Ordinance, and Ethics.
There was a special meeting this evening, March 12th. The last meeting was March 5th. Those minutes are on file with the clerk, and the next meeting is April 2nd, and today's minutes are pending.
Finance, Civil Service, and Personnel. Been a busy week. We had finance meetings on March 5th, 6th, 8th, and earlier today, the 12th. All those minutes are pending because I haven't had time to write them up. The next meeting of the Finance Committee is the 19th. Mr. Mayor, any appointments or confirmations?
None this evening.
Madam Clerk, communications, petitions, and claims.
Yes, I have a few items tonight. The first is a letter addressed to Mayor Delaquila from David Jacklich. He writes, "This note is being sent to acknowledge his great service your service department gave to me, everyone starting with the women answering the phone. She understood what the problem was and told me the service department would respond shortly. Within 45 minutes, I noticed a Seven Hills truck was in front of my house. I explained I had a sewer problem. They worked quickly and explained what they were doing as they did it. They determined the problem in the sewer connection and fixed it. The hole they dug was filled, dirt smoothly over perfectly, and the sidewalk cleaned. Thanks to Joe, Mike, and the other two gentlemen from the service department, they did a super job. Thanks to you also for running the ship great. David R. Jacklich. We also received a letter from Chelsea Hasrouni, copied to the police department, the mayor, city council, and myself regarding the Shelley Drive party. She writes, I just want to send a quick message in hopes you are able to share it with council, the mayor, and the police department. I just want to commend the Seven Hills Police Department for the fantastic job they did in handling the Seven Hills banger. I did not grow up in a quiet community like Seven Hills. Parties like this were not uncommon. Neither was overzealous police or police brutality in response to rowdy events. I'm very impressed with the way the police handled the situation by allowing it to essentially fizzle out in its own while waiting for backup to arrive. I was very happy to hear that there were no arrests, no citizens or police were hurt, and that Seven Hills PD were acting in a way that didn't earn them a reputation of being overreacting, trigger-happy cops. While I understand the residents on Shelley Drive are frustrated, I, as a minority woman, hear the racial undertones in their concerns. It is honorable of Seven Hills PD to not allow their own prejudices, if they exist, to not influence their response, unlike some residents who feared for their lives. I take umbrage with what I've read on Facebook, such as Shelley Drive looked like Buckeye Avenue, and calling the partygoers thugs and animals. One thing I've noticed about Seven Hills PD since living here is that they are one of the most low-key, relaxed police departments I've ever seen, and the relaxed approach seems to keep things running smoothly. Had they responded more aggressively, this city would have earned a reputation it doesn't deserve, one I personally dispel to anyone who even suggests it, that Seven Hills, like Parma, has a problem with racist cops. Based on what I've read and heard from the residents, they weren't necessarily outraged at the size of the party. They were outraged at who was at the party. It's unfortunate, of course, they'll never admit that race played a large factor in their fear. To the Seven Hills Police Department, keep doing what you're doing. You're doing it well. There are more reasonable people in this city than not, and we get it. Stuff happens. No one died. Everyone can carry on. Again, that's from Chelsea Hasrouni. Next, as you heard in caucus, I have a letter from Louise Loasios in reference to the moral claim amended 125/2017. To the mayor, appointed officials, department heads, president of city council, respected council members, and citizens of Seven Hills. My name is Louise Loasios of 880 Aspenwood Drive, Seven Hills, Ohio. I'm writing to you as my last response to the city's decision on my moral claim concerning sewage backup and flooding for the past 12 years at my home. This process was initiated by me back in September 2017, and it was only this past Saturday, March 10th, that I received a voicemail on my phone stating my case, amended ordinance 125/2017, which will be on the agenda for this Monday night council meeting. Unfortunately, I work nights as an RN at the Cleveland Clinic main campus, and because of this short notification, I was unable to arrange for the time off to attend this meeting. So I'm asking for this letter to be read on my behalf before the formal vote is taken. I came to the city last year in good faith, asking for a moral claim that was half of my expense over this 12-year period, which the city most recently admitted that they were partially at fault. I met with the assistant law director with all my receipts and lists of expenses and was told the city will not pay for anything on private property, but would consider reimbursing my plumbing bills. I have records that city inspectors overlooked the actual building plans of my home creating several code violations that I had to spend money correcting. Again, more information that went to deaf ears. I waited for months to get an answer to my concerns with no response by phone calls, letters, or emails. But what I did get in return was the mayor posting my receipts on social media, revealing all my sensitive information, such as address, phone number, and credit card number to cyberspace. This gave other citizens the ability to copy and paste this information on their Facebook pages, and I had other residents stalking my home. Another resident claimed to be an expert in sewage and water damage, breached my private information, and defamed my name and character in a council meeting. All this craziness, and the city of Seven Hills has agreed to compensate me and my family $1,481.01 without any explanation on how they came to this amount. This whole process has been surreal and truly unbelievable. I can't believe such a small community could be so difficult to deal with. This experience has left me frustrated, humiliated, and totally exasperated, to say the least. If I was able to sell my home, I would move out of Seven Hills ASAP, but no one will buy my home now with such documented issues, so you will have the pleasure to deal with me and my family for many years to come, as my sinks and drains are already gurgling as I write this letter, which means another flood is imminent. I hope the service department will act in a timely manner when I call and put our home as one of the first residents to be on the list of the new sewer project that was promised last year. No one should experience what my family and I have endured for over 12 years, and I'm sorry the city of Seven Hills feels $1,481.01 is a fair and just compensation for all these years of pain and misery this horrific situation has caused. I feel any citizen of Seven Hills should be treated much better than this, and I hope none of you will have to experience what my family and I have endured for 12 out of 13 years living in, quote, beautiful Seven Hills, unquote. From a disgruntled and embittered resident of Seven Hills, Louise L. Loasius, 880 Aspenwood Drive. And lastly, I have a communication from Mayor Delaquila dated March 10th, regarding a 3-month update. With Seven Hills about 3 months into the new council term, this is an opportune time for an update about recent activities at City Hall. New dispatch center. Earlier this year, Seven Hills entered into an agreement with Broadview Heights, Brecksville, and Independence to create a council of governments for the purpose of upgrading our emergency dispatching services. This program will bring in state-of-the-art technology and make us a member of one of the highest rated dispatching systems in the entire nation. Further, this agreement lays the groundwork for future regionalization to provide more services and greater cost savings for our residents. For instance, our share of the expense related to the new dispatch center is only related to the equipment we will use. The brick and mortar build-out of the facility will be paid for solely by Brecksville, and our annual rent for this facility is only 50 cents. Next, Hemlock Creek Sanitary Sewer Project. In one of its largest construction undertakings in recent years, about $9 million, Seven Hills has taken action to move the remaining homes in the city with septic systems to the sanitary sewer lines, as mandated by the EPA. Despite many obstacles, the preparatory work for this complex project is on schedule. Thanks to some hard work, the opportunity to benefit from about $3.5 million in grant dollars related to the project is also on schedule. Next, 2018 budget. The annual budget process is underway and on schedule. The budget will be submitted to the county as it has been every year at the end of March. The administration took the precautionary step of waiting for the final 2017 actual financial information to be complete before assembling the final budget draft. This is in stark contrast with the prior council's insistence on assembling a budget draft before the final 2016 numbers were even available. Starting the budget on incomplete data and leaving out known expenses are big reasons why the prior council came in over budget in 2017. As part of the budgetary process, each department has submitted its suggestions for 2018. These have included some necessary pay scale adjustments. If included in the final budget, they will still require thorough analysis, close scrutiny, and a vote of council before becoming effective. Next item, pay scale adjustments. It is important to note that as of this writing, no non-mandatory or director raises have been granted. It is also important to note the difference between restoring a salary and raising a salary. The prior council targeted certain employee salaries, but not others, creating inequitable situations that must now be reviewed and resolved. The only pay scale adjustment currently ready for council vote is in regard to the Recreation Center manager. This adjustment was proposed only after a thorough review of recreation salaries throughout the state of Ohio. If passed, the annual salary for that position will be $62,000 as indicated in the 2018 draft budget. Moreover, even with that correction, this will still be the lowest similar recreation salary among the 16 Northern Ohio communities participating in the 2017 Ohio Municipal League Salary Survey. Many of these positions in other communities do not have responsibility for operating a large-scale fitness facility with oversight of dozens of employees and programs. Based on these factors, among others, this proposal is extremely conservative while assuring that the city can retain an important employee while keeping the budget in mind. This level of scrutiny and analysis will be applied to all similar decisions to protect your tax dollars while maintaining necessary service levels. Conclusion: city matters are being handled carefully and professionally with your tax dollars in mind. Please be wary of social media rumors, parentheses, that started during the campaign and continue to this day, end parentheses. There are obvious attempts to discredit your city leaders. What you have seen in the last 3 months with this new council is an end to pet projects, special treatment, and self-promotion, replaced by engaging professionals with important decisions and acting upon that advice. That was submitted by Mayor Delaquila. And that's all we have.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I need some water after that. Just a reminder to everyone, please speak as close to the microphone as possible and clearly. I got feedback from members of the audience. They were having trouble hearing us during caucus. Also got feedback from the audience that from all future caucuses, residents are going, when we're in the big room, they must approach the microphone so that everybody can hear you clearly. So that'll be enforced uniformly going forward at the request of a resident. So let's help those out that can't hear and speak clearly into the microphone. Council is now open to the audience on legislation only. First row, right, left, second row, third, fourth, anyone in the back? Great. We're now going to move on to ordinances and resolutions. We'll now have the third and final reading of, well, we're going to move on to amended ordinance number 125-2017.
Mr. President,
Councilman Greenwald.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and that we table the third and final reading of ordinance number 125-2017 until the next regularly scheduled meeting.
I'll
Is
second.
that
it.
okay? I'll second. Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
I abstain.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Amended ordinance 125-2017 has been tabled for the length of time of 2 weeks. Moving on to ordinance number 13-2018.
Mr. President,
Councilman Snitsky.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read ordinance number 13-2018 by title only for its third and final reading.
I second.
Roll call.
Biassiata. Yes. Elliott?
Yes.
Greenwald?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Snitsky?
Yes.
Stager?
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Ordinance number 13, 2018, introduced by Mayor Delaquila and councilpersons Biassiata, Kelly, Stager, Elliott, Robo, Snitsky, and Greenwald. An ordinance to appropriate an additional sum of $9,870 as a change order to amended ordinance number 68, 2016, passed by council June 13th, 2016, which authorized an initial amount of $19,500 to Richard L. Bowen and Associates Incorporated for professional engineering and architectural services in regard to the Hemlock Creek Watershed Utility Improvement Project.
Or a further motion?
Mr. President,
Councilman.
I move that we pass ordinance number 13, 2018.
I second.
Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Ordinance 13-2018 is passed. I remind all council, please speak into the microphone. Moving on to ordinance number 14-2018.
Mr. President,
Councilman.
I move that we suspend the rules under the charter and read ordinance number 14-2018 by title only for its third and final reading.
I second.
Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Ordinance number 14, 2018, introduced by Mayor Delaquila. An ordinance to amend section 148.04A, compensation of the recreation complex manager, as contained in Title V, Administrative of Part 1, Administrative Code of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Seven Hills, Ohio, for the purpose of increasing the salary range of the full-time recreation complex manager.
A further motion.
Mr. President,
Councilman.
I move that we pass ordinance number 14-2018.
We have a second.
I second.
We have any comment from council?
Yes.
Councilwoman Stager.
I'm very pleased that this is happening. I think that Ms. Berger is a incredibly dedicated and hard worker and has carried many, many hours over at the rec center for the benefit of our residents. And I'm very pleased that this is passing this evening.
Any further comment from council?
Mr. President,
Councilman.
yes, I would just like to say that doing my due diligence for this particular ordinance, with the information provided by the administration and various people, and also doing my own research, I find that this is a quite reasonable request.
Thank you.
Okay, if anybody has any questions about that, any of my constituents, give me a call.
Thank you, Councilman Roble. Any further councilman people?
I would like to add something, please.
Councilman Kelly. Councilwoman Kelly.
Thank you. I think that as a city, we're very fortunate to have Ms. Berger as an employee. She's a person who goes above and beyond her job description, and she works well over her required hours, often into the evening and on the weekends without compensation. I've also received numerous compliments from residents regarding Ms. Berger's work ethic and achievements. She has an outstanding number of programs in which to participate in at the rec center. She maintains certifications related to her job, assembles the city newsletter, updates the city website. And overall, I think her level of dedication to the rec center should not go unnoticed. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilwoman Kelly. Anyone further? I'll have my own comments on this ordinance. I'll try not to ramble on. I take a different look at it. I really do. But a little history. I was on the last council, and we were faced with a number of tough decisions. And a handful of positions came up where it was introduced. We should try things a different way with salary structure. As each one came up, I put the blinders on, forget who you like, whatever is in the position, and I researched every single darn one of them, right? Called other communities, what they're paying, and I found an example to support voting yes to make all those other adjustments 2 years ago. Had the blinders on, just researching the legislation in front of me. We came to this in 2016 to the Recreation Center manager. Didn't matter to me who was in the role. Called other cities, benchmarked, called a couple recruiting firms that work. I couldn't find one example of someone running a facility this size at that price. And I voted no against cutting the pay back then, and her pay was $62,000. And it had nothing to do with the person in the role, but the requirements of the role at hand. This came up again now in the new council term. Same way. Worked with the administration when this first come up and said, don't even bring it to me until you do your homework. All right? Those that attend meetings regularly know that I said that. Well, we went back, and what I'm going to be entering the record is the 2017 Ohio Municipal League Survey for Parks and Recreation Directors throughout the state of Ohio, 88 recipients. Okay? That said, when you look at the median is $69,000, of which that's the range was built on. You go up some percentage, you go down a percentage, and you establish a range based on data. This is a very good way to do it. The perfect way to do it is you hire a firm and you look at the very specifics of the qualifications, but that's going to cost several $1,000s. That would be a whole year adjustment out the door just to prove that this was right. So when you have the ability to have 88 cities looked at, and in particular Northern Ohio, here's what you find. The median is $82,000, the average is $86,000. The proposed salary range here is $62 to $80. Even if someday, and I don't think that'll happen in my term, and I'll stop it if it does, it goes to the high end of the range, it'll still be entirely below the median, entirely. Okay? That said, the $62,000, that's the minimum here, is what's in the budget, draft budget of 2018. Furthermore, you can look at certifications, and I'll also enter in the record from National Parks and Recreation data. I have copies here if anyone wants it. For what the median annual salary for a person with a CPRP salary is, and that's $75,928. If this passes, the recreation manager director will be making $62,000. So every bit of analytics I can come up with says that this is a respectable range based upon quantifiable data, public information that anyone could obtain, and I'd be happy to share. I made extra copies tonight for anyone that would like to verify that. So once again, the blinders on, not about the individual, whether I like them or not. Does the data and the research support the decision being made? And I can confidently say I believe it does. Any further comment from council? I'll add, last but not least, that a couple dozen emails in support in 2016 for the recreation director on a personal note, and we had a petition of 214 residents, or not residents, members that could encompass all communities in support of rec director. So there's actually two parts. There's the due diligence when I look at tough decisions that I just spoke to, and there's also resident feedback. And both were in support of this back then, and my research today supports a yes vote. And that's how hard I'll look at something when I'm spending your tax money, particularly on a personnel. So I'm finished. Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Stager.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Ordinance 1428 is passed. Moving on to ordinance 2128. Second reading.
Ordinance 21, 2008, introduced by councilpersons Biassiata, Kelly, Elliott, Stager, Robel, Snitsky, and Greenwald. An ordinance to amend the appropriations of the City of Seven Hills, Ohio for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2018.
Ordinance 22-2018, first reading.
Ordinance 22, 2018, introduced by Mayor Delacuilla and councilpersons Biassiata, Kelly, Elliott, Stager, Robel, Snitsky, and Greenwald. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into a contract with Jackson Deacon and Associates of Westlake, Ohio, and appropriating a sum not to exceed $91,416 for the furnishing of a comprehensive municipal liability insurance coverage package effective April 1st, 2018 through March 31st, 2019.
Thank you. First reading of ordinance 23-2018.
Ordinance number 23, 2018, introduced by Mayor Delacuilla and councilpersons Biassiata, Kelly, Elliott, Stager, Robel, Snitsky, and Greenwald. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor to enter into an agreement on behalf of the City of Seven Hills, Ohio, with Gary Perlman of Mayfield Heights, Ohio, doing business as Dr. Awesome Incorporated for the purpose of providing entertainment for the City of Seven Hills 2018 home days.
We'll now have the second reading of resolution number 6, 2018.
Resolution number 6, 2018, introduced by councilpersons Biassiata, Kelly, Elliott, Stager, Robel, Snitsky, and Greenwald. A resolution approving a lot split and consolidation pursuant to Seven Hills Ordinance number 911.002, permanent parcel number 551-07-004, Charles McGill, fronting on Rockside Road.
Council is now open to the audience. First row. Mr. Jaros. Yes, miscellaneous comment, anything you want to talk about?
Tom Jarris, Crescent Ridge Drive. During caucus, I tried to question the finance director. I was prevented from doing that. I'm very concerned about the security of resident personal information in the city of Seven Hills. We've just seen a police report that indicates that former Councilman Matt Trefis actually tried to coerce finance department personnel into manufacturing a public document. There's a parallel here to what we're seeing in Washington and FISA courts, and the important thing is that you're not supposed to spy on U.S. citizens. Sure as hell not supposed to spy on Seven Hills residents. If there isn't a policy in place in the finance department that says nobody gets personal information without a court order or something like that, if necessary, then that certainly should be in place. Because that information, it might include a social security number. You don't know, you have finance people making calls. There should be a policy in place that addresses this. And that same police report says that Law Director Pignatello may have told ex-Councilman Trefis to make a public document request. Same thing for the assistant law director. May have told Trefis to make that request. And if you really did that, you ought to just resign. There's no value. There's no value if you encourage that behavior. And that's going to try to be his excuse for doing it. Mr. Pignatello said it was okay. He already said it. His attorneys already said it. All I know is what the police report said, and you said in the police report that you may have told him to make a public document request. There's been such strange stuff coming out of law. I don't get it at all. But this needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gerald. Second row, third row, Mr. Drain, please approach the podium.
Jack Thrain, 6264 Crossview Road. I have a couple comments on the recreation center,
Yes, sir.
and one is the cleanliness, I think was discussed here tonight briefly. I would just like to say I stopped going there because it was so dirty up there. And when I was approached someone about the showers and the men's carpeting in the locker room and the lockers, it was like we're doing the best we can do. That's not good enough. That's not an excuse for mold in the showers. And someone told me that they're using a power washer to clean the showers, that they don't use disinfectant in the showers. They use a power washer. That's not going to remove scum and germs. That's just pressured water.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing is, men go in there, they use that as their shower room after they swim and exercise. They use the wash basins to shave in. There's no paper towels. There's no way to clean the water off of the counters in there, the countertops, so that water naturally goes on the floor, which is a slip hazard. So when I approached someone and asked them, are we going to get paper towels in here? They said no, because the kids throw the towels in the toilets and block the toilets up. Well, the kids are only there from certain hours a day. They need to have a locker monitor in there, locker room monitor. I think it's terrible. I'm not the only resident that's talked about the unsightly dirt and scum in that recreation center. And I think it's sad that people feel that way, that it's too dirty to go there.
Okay.
And I think our Parks and Recreation member should look into this a little bit. Did you do your due diligence before you voted on this to look and see what that place looked like up there? Have you been up there? Do you use the recreation center, sir?
Mr. Drain will have an opportunity to respond. This is comment. He can
Okay,
respond
thank
during
you.
his miscellaneous.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any further comment? Reports and communication from the Mayor and Safety Director.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Just very briefly. Since the question came up, I have been very reticent to comment at all about the recent controversies which Mr. Jaros referred to, and I will continue to not comment. However, since the question was raised, I just want to assure our residents, everybody here, everybody watching, that we do have a policy in place in the Finance Department. It's actually state law, and that policy is that confidential information is to be protected and is not to be released. We don't know what happened here. This is still a matter for others to decide what occurred. But I will assure Mr. Jaros and anybody else interested that I will certainly be looking into the matter. And any problems that we can identify there will certainly be addressed, but be assured there's a state law in effect and we do protect the private information there. With regard to the comments about the recreation center, Mr. Thrain, we just re-engaged with Coverall Services. This is the same firm that cleans the Quicken Arena. It's only been a very few weeks since they've been on board. What I'd like to do is invite you to meet with me sometime at the Recreation Center at your convenience with the facility manager and do a walkthrough. I'd like to do that at a point in time when we know that Coverall has actually been in and done their work, so we can go through what issues there are, what aren't, what are being addressed. But our hope in re-engaging with Coverall, again, it's a very reputable firm. Our hope in re-engaging with them is that we were going to be elevating the cleaning work over there. Thank you, Mr. President.
Reports from directors and department officials. Director of Finance.
No report.
Director Law. Director of Public Service and Properties.
No report.
City Engineer.
No report.
Building Commissioner.
No report.
Now move on to council miscellaneous, and we'll start with Councilwoman Kelly tonight.
I would like to thank our police department. I received a complaint from a resident that lives on East Dartmoor. He and a bunch of his neighbors were very upset about some speeders riding up and down the road in excess of 40 miles an hour. I filed a complaint on that resident's behalf, and within 24 hours, we did have a police detail at the corner of East Dartmoor and East Decker. So I would really like to thank our police department for expeditiously responding. The resident is very happy, and so are the neighbors. So thank you very much.
Councilman Elliott. Councilman Stagger.
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Councilman Greenwald.
Looks like it's snowing again. Hope everybody drives safe. That's all.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Snitsky.
I'm not Irish, but I think we should say Happy St. Patrick's Day since it's coming up this weekend. I would like to thank the service department because now you're going to go back to snow plowing, Stu, buddy. But in the last 2 weeks, I have sent him numerous emails about residents pointing out craters to me in their roads. And every time I've done it, he's jumped on it right away, responded back to me and the resident in a timely manner, and for the most part, gotten out there and got them patched right away. So in 2 weeks after this snow, we'll go through it again. So I wanted to thank you for that.
You're welcome.
And I had one other question that came up. And we had talked about the tree fund. And I can't remember what department. I'm not sure if it's building or if it's service. But there was a question as to whether the tree fund was only to be used for new development or for existing development. Can anybody clarify where that goes? I mean, and the question has come up because we've had a lot of damage to trees in the tree lawns that were planted as part of the original developments of these areas this last winter. And I just wondered.
Only new development.
I mean, service director's role is per ordinance. I'm also the arborist, and I believe it's chapter 701 of the ordinance. It gives the service director a responsibility to trim the trees, prune the trees, remove, I've removed dead trees, issue courtesy notices on private property if there's a problem that's reported to us, that type of thing. But it doesn't specify planting new trees.
Okay. Is that, if I may, is that an omission, or is that something that we should look into, or is that the way we want it, that we only want the tree fund to be used for new developments?
Mr. Chairman, the new trees only go in new subdivisions. They don't go back in old subdivisions and plant a new tree. That's the only place that a tree will go there, and it's by ordinance the responsibility of various departments to come up with the right numbers and so forth to what the trees cost and what monies go in for the parks is also in there. But new trees only go in new subdivisions.
New trees only go in new subdivisions, and that's usually the contractor that's putting in the subdivision that does it, or does the city come in and do it as part of the process?
The contractor is after he gets how much the trees cost, he submits a check to finance, and it is his responsibility to put the trees in.
Okay. Sonia, I don't know, you may not have this at your fingers, but can you tell us how much money's in the tree fund right now? Do you know off the top?
The tree fund is Fund 211,
Yeah.
and there's currently $12,494.67.
Okay. That's it. Thank you very much.
Councilman Roble.
Yes, Mr. President. I'd like to start out, I have two items from the Zoning Board of Appeals that council needs to act on. And I'd like to read them, and then hopefully we'll take action on that. The first one, well, let me preface that by saying at the Wednesday, March 7th, 2018 meeting, the Zoning Board of Appeals, the board made the following motions regarding variances requested. Okay, number one, concerning permanent parcel 551-12-022, 551-12-011, 551-20-016, 551-20-046, 551-20-017, Glenn's Landing LLC. The Zoning Board of Appeals voted whether or not to grant the applicant Glenn's Landing LLC, which owns or otherwise holds an interest in the, well, they list the permanent parcel numbers again, a variance to Chapter 1147, riparian setbacks and wetland setbacks, to allow the development of those permanent parcel numbers as depicted on the submitted drawing, and there be in compliance with the 5 conditions identified as the brief list of items discussed, comments from the Cuyahoga Soil and Water Conservation District 117, 18, and 118, email correspondence noted by the city engineer in compliance with alternative or additional conditions as may be required or approved by the city engineer and the Cuyahoga Soil and Water Conservation District, that a final development plan or plans for the properties upon which the variance is requested is approved by the City Council within 1 year of the effective date of the variance, and that action permitted under this, the variance shall be completed within 1 year following such final plans approval. The roll call was 5 yes, 0 nay. Motion was carried. Mr. President, I'd like to move that we concur and approve the findings of the Zoning Board of Appeals.
I second. Any comments? Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Staker.
Yes.
Robo.
Yes.
Variance is concurred.
Okay, the second variance is in regards to 501 Rockside Road, permanent parcel 551-02-010. The Zoning Board of Appeals voted whether or not to grant applicant and property owner presiding Church of Latter-day Saints, 501 Rockside Road, permanent parcel number 551-02-010, a variance to ordinance number 941.05C1 to allow approximate 19,600 square foot expansion of the existing parking lot, which will be to the east of the existing parking lot, eliminating any and all landscaping and natural vegetation as depicted on the submitted drawing, with the condition that drainage calculations are provided, reviewed, and agreed upon by the city engineer. The motion was carried, 5 yes, 0 nay. I would like to, at this time, I move that council concur and accept the findings of the Zoning Board of
Council Rowe, before I second, I do have one question on this one. Was there any residents speaking against the expansion?
There was one resident that spoke, well, wasn't in favor, but was not, they supported the
specific to the parking lot.
Yeah, because they said they wouldn't be affected, and that the church was a good neighbor. Okay, so that was, I guess that you call that support. And there was one, yes, who said that they had problems with water that were caused by maintenance issues on the church property, Building Commissioner Vitardi said that he would look into that, send an inspector, and make sure that that was taken care of.
All right. So the vote was 5-0.
5-0, yes.
I second to your motion to concur. Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Sager.
Yes.
Robel.
Yes.
Variance has been, council's concurred with the zoning board's variance.
Okay, Mr. President,
Councilman Roble.
may I answer that question that was asked earlier?
Yes.
Okay, basically, I'm up at the rec center every day walking, and since this had come up, I started becoming conscious of how things were looking at the rec center in terms of cleanliness. And in all honesty, I was only in the locker room once to just use a particular part of the facility, so I did not look in the showers or anything like that. So that when we looked at the ordinance to approve coverall, I was trusting that the manager there would take care of all those things. I had asked the question, is everything going to be taken care of either by coverall or by our own employees? And that was yes. Okay. That's it. Yeah.
Thank you, Councilman Roble. Just a couple things, and then we'll wrap it up. A couple good things. First, I'd like to congratulate in the audience today, Mr. Ken Brzezinski. Did I say that right? Ken has just completed his 3-year term as chairman of the board of the Primary Chamber of Commerce, which encompasses Seven Hills. Maybe more on this at a later date, but over those 3 years, he's been a champion of Seven Hills, and he's represented us all excellent as he has the greater community. So his term just ended, and this past weekend was the gala where he was recognized by his peers and the outstanding job he's done. Still very active, involved in the chambers, and one of the big things he's very involved with is the Primal Ribbon Rock and countless other things. So thank you for your service to the community, Ken. We've noticed. One other thing. Last week, you may have received, or you should have received, the city newsletter at your home. This was an idea of Recreation Manager Jen Berger's. This was done not at city expense because the city sold extra advertising to cover the cost of the distribution. Within the first 2 days of that letter hitting residents' homes, City Hall received 37 calls related to items in the newsletter, senior lockbox, programs at the rec center. So it's a good thing, so she took the initiative. She brought this to council. The credit's hers. And I think it's worth noting, the instant reaction when you put the information in the residents' hands. So if you have any feedback on that newsletter, let your council representative know. On that good note, I'm going to motion to adjourn council at 9:10. Do I have a second? Roll call.
Biassiata.
Yes.
Elliott.
Yes.
Greenwald.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Snitsky.
Yes.
Sager.
Yes.
Robel.
Yes.
Council's adjourned. Have a good evening.
No. Want to do something with it
My
now?
name.
You have these here.
Yeah, she's gonna.
Yeah. I mean, I'll go follow up. Good, thanks.